As a Latina, I'm just really confused how you can hate where you come from so much. And I'm talking about Marco Rubio. He hates his country so much that he wants to incite mass starvation like it's no fucking big deal. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Marco Rubio basically is the puppeteer for Donald Trump regarding anything Cuba, anything with Venezuela. That's all Marco Rubio because he's a warmongering freak. And he convinced Donald Trump to do an order. And in this executive order, it's saying that there is a state of emergency in Cuba. And he's saying, if anyone sells oil to Cuba, we will tariff that country 25%. It is a direct attack towards Mexico. And honestly, Mexico should say, go fuck yourself and tariff the United States back. Because we would be destroyed. Because Mexico gives us a lot of produce. Especially now that the Gestapo continue to harass and kidnap the farmers in California. It's very clear that we need more produce from Mexico. But c'est la vie. What I don't understand is how Marco Rubio can be such a vile piece of shit that he wants this. Like, he actually wants this. I mean, listen to him speak right now. Executive order. And in this executive order, it's saying that there is a state of emergency in Cuba. And he's saying, if anyone sells oil to Cuba, we will tariff that country 25%. It is a direct attack towards Mexico. And honestly, Mexico should say, go fuck yourself and tariff the United States back. Because we would be destroyed. Because Mexico gives us a lot of produce. Especially now that the Gestapo continue to harass and kidnap the farmers in California. It's very clear that we need more produce from Mexico. But c'est la vie. What I don't understand is how Marco Rubio can be such a vile piece of shit that he wants this. Like, he actually wants this. I mean, listen to him speak right now.
Now, for the first time in literally a decade, there is the opportunity that something could change. There's not the guarantee that something will change, but there is the opportunity that something will change. We have changed that dynamic, which goes back to the question that Senator Merkley had about Cuba. What we are looking for is the opportunity for a change in dynamic. That's a country that's been backwards. It has no functional economy. The people, you can call them Marxist, we can call them communist, but not even Lenin would recognize this version of communism and Marxism that they've instilled in Cuba. It's an economic model that hasn't worked anywhere on the planet. The suffering in the rural areas of Cuba are acute and they're deep. And it's not because of the embargo. It's because they don't know how to run an economy. How is it the fault of the U.S. embargo that Cuba, one of the world's largest sugar producers, now imports sugar? Because no sector of their society works. It's frozen and it's broken. But in the case of Venezuela, we have a glimmer of hope now, the opportunity to change the dynamic. Now, what that will require is smart decisions on our part, but ultimately it will require decisions made by Venezuelans, both those currently in charge of the interim authorities and those who may be in charge in the future as well to step forward. It is our sincere belief that the only way you're going to have a free, prosperous Venezuela that's allied with the United States is one in which every sector of their society is represented in their politics. And that includes many people who currently live abroad. And even the opposition, people like to say the opposition is very diverse. There are members of the opposition that were once part of Chavismo and turned against it. There are members of the opposition that have never been Chavistas, like Maria Corina Machado, and have been very forceful against it. So that broad sector has to be represented as well. So you have to have a process of internal reconciliation that allows these voices to begin to participate in the political life of that country, and that ultimately bring us to a point in which you can have a country where all of these elements of their society are represented in their politics.
That Havana should be concerned about the Maduro operation, is fueling speculation that this administration will turn its sights to Cuba next. Will you make a public commitment today to rule out U.S. regime change in Cuba?
Regime change?
Yes.
Oh, no, I think we would love to see the regime there change. We would like to, that doesn't mean that we're going to make it change, but we would love to see it change. There's no doubt about the fact that it would be of great benefit to the United States if Cuba was no longer governed by an autocratic regime.
But you know what we mean by regime change. We don't mean, I wish someone else were in charge. When we talk about regime change, we're talking about using the power of the United States, usually kinetic power, but often other kinds of coercion. And I'm not even saying that that's always not in our interest. I'm just saying, I'm not asking you whether we would prefer a different kind of government. I'm asking whether you are trying to precipitate the fall of the current regime.
Yeah, but that's statutory. The Helms-Burton Act, the U.S. embargo on Cuba is codified. It was codified in law, and it requires regime change in order for us to lift the embargo.
In the clips that I just presented, he's a warmongering psycho. And yet, he's the one that's in control, and that's truly terrifying. I think that people need to understand that you shouldn't be afraid of Cuba. You really shouldn't. If you want to learn more about Cuba, you should listen to the Blowback Season 2 podcast. Looks like this. It is an incredible podcast series. Every season is different. It takes you into history, and you really learn the true nature of Cubans. You really learn the reason for the revolution, and you respect the drive and grit of Fidel Castro and Che Guevara. But what's really significant is that the United States has done such a good job, let's be realistic, on being anti-fascist, anti-communist. Socialism is bad, that people think that Cuba is a terrible place. It's not. It's actually a place that is being literally suffocated by the United States on purpose. And it's being suffocated by the United States because Cuba did not fall, did not bend the knee. And Marco Rubio has been insistent on making them bend the knee because his family used to be middle-class people under the Batista regime. And Batista was the puppet for the United States. When Fidel Castro came in and kind of knocked that out of the park, then Marco Rubio's family had to flee. It's not like that's how the story goes. And Marco Rubio blames Fidel Castro, even though it was, his family just wanted to be under U.S. imperialism. That's your fault. That's not anyone else's fault. So he has always had this drive to destroy Cuba. Always. Like a fucking freak. And I just don't get it. I'm Dominican and Puerto Rican. I'm very proud of where I come from. I am still on this journey of being a No Sabo kid and trying to understand where I come from. And I still do not understand how someone could want to harm their people so badly and not give a flying fuck. But that's Marco Rubio. And so that's just kind of like an update what's going on with Cuba. This is very significant. It's also very significant because it also does impact Puerto Rico too. It also does impact Dominican Republic as well. So I'll do a lot of focus on what's going on because I think it's very significant and it's not getting the coverage that it desperately needs. So please, if you don't know much about Cuba, I highly recommend looking into the Blowback podcast, season 2. And I have no problem talking more about the history of Cuba. Me, myself, I'm learning about it. I am currently reading the Motorcycle Diaries by Che Guevara right now. Like, you will always learn because education is power. Education is key because that's how you expand your mind and expand the way you think about things throughout the world. And that's the beauty of education. And so I have no problem sharing that with anyone. All I can say is I stand with Cuba. I will always stand with Cuba. And fuck Marco Rubio.